bad thing?
No.
We're actually being recorded right now. You know, you can't tell by looking at it. Where's Joe now? Bad thing? No. What did you do? We're actually being recorded right now. You know, you can't tell by looking at it.
Hey, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Does everyone have the agenda that I sent out? Can we do a volunteer hours report? June 17. Sharon. 5. Denise.
Just gonna call Joe directly.
Phyllis. On the paperwork, whatever, yeah. And the tour.
Oh, well. Well, the tour isn't until tomorrow.
No, last tour.
Oh, so then. Everybody wants 2 hours in?
Yeah. Anybody else? Anybody else? Minutes. Thanks for sending them out. Denise. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? They were sent out by Denise.
I got them.
Did I get it? Any questions, concerns, changes anybody wants? If not, I will entertain a motion to accept.
I can second
Would
Me
someone
first,
like-
Me first, you second? Or you
I
first, me
can't first
second?
or second. The chair can't do either thing.
Okay, I'll do first.
I'll do second.
it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay. Some of the rest of this thing. I'll start, but I'll probably be chiming in on some other things as we go along. The Ferry Village. Sharon and I had lunch with Regina Venter a couple weeks ago, I guess, Joey Jim. And I think we were both pleased to find out that not only is she not opposed to working with us, basically, to work on what we would be doing in Ferry Village, but it sounded as though she had not met the owner at Anchor Marine, and so she did not have any real strong feelings one way or the other. So I feel comfortable that we're in a pretty good position about being able to talk to her and to the owners at Anchor. And if we can come up with some plan where we can involve the community in Ferry Village in this discussion, I think we could make some good progress on that this year. So I'm happy about it. I know Sharon's been preparing material for Anchor, but I think now we could probably pull it all together as one thing. I don't know what's going on over there, though, as far as the town, Mike. So I wanted to ask you if you were aware of anything. I don't know
Not
what.
with Anchor that I know
Okay, I don't know why. I can't even remember. It seems like I heard something because there was some mention of the little park, but I can't remember who told me or where I would have heard that. So,
of.
you know, okay, I don't know. I don't know what it was, but maybe it will come to me. But anyway, whatever. As far as the town is concerned, I guess one of the questions I would have for you, Mike, is if we are going to do this and talk about historic district, even if it's just a local historic district that we designate, one of the things I've been looking at is the town of Lewiston is applying to their town board to be able to do that just locally, not telling people what they can do, but just naming a section of town and historic district. And so they're trying to get it through their town board. So I got all the wording for it. And I thought maybe we could take a look at that and see if we could work something out with the town board here. But if we did that, then I think one of the things we have to look at.
I'm
would
watching for
be-
Joe to show up. If you wonder why I keep
Yeah.
looking at it. We lost Joe sadly.
Oh,
I tried to call him. I did try to call him.
oh, let's see. Oh, I turned my phone off. anyway, one of the things we did talk about was that if we were going to maintain the feel of the village over there, you don't want somebody to buy up 4 lots and put a mansion smack dab in the middle of Ferry Village that would not fit in architecturally, historically, or anything else. So if we're going to begin this process, I don't know who we should be talking to first about the zoning laws on Grand Island, what we would do if we had a local historic district. How would we get the town to say, you can't buy anything more than a 50-foot lot and put up a house that fits on there?
Uh-oh.
Because there are already some going in the back, I know, that don't particularly fit the area.
Right.
And maybe we would just have a certain number of blocks where we would say this would be the case, but I don't know where to begin on that. So we would need your guidance in
What
there.
would be a design standard for that, whatever district you're talking about, if you could even get that through a town board, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. So the architectural design standards is what you
Okay.
They've already broken every rule.
Pardon?
We've broken a lot of rules already.
Well, yeah, but you don't have people, I mean, in the back you do, I think, but I'm thinking about just the main streets there where people that are on smaller lots. I mean, what if somebody tore a house down on one of those 30-foot lots and then wanted to put something 4 stories high on it or something? I mean, I just think we need to be prepared
Oh, I
for this, you know? I'm afraid if we wait too much longer to talk about this, that somebody's gonna step in there and do something crazy. And then there's a couple places in there, as you know, that I've been looking at. And I think we need to talk to the zoning officer in town to find out about some of those places that are not being cared for.
Completely agree with that. For the tour, certainly your house should be. But we don't want to walk people down the street.
I get it.
It certainly has deteriorated since I lived there. A lot of people are not taking care of the property in Ferry Village. A lot of people on that.
No, there's a couple of really bad examples.
Really bad.
Maybe by making it historic.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. If we could do
I don't know what kind of parameters you get in that.
Well, I think we'd have to talk about that. I mean, we'd have to suggest some things to the town board and the zoning office and then let them decide what they're going to approve. I'm not thinking we should do it all, but I mean,
Well, you
we're
can-
gonna have to start it because nobody in town is gonna do this unless
There
we
has
start it.
to be some kind of, you can't just load up your property all the time.
You can ask,
Trust me,
you
I've
can
seen
ask them
this.
to come tour and go drive by and look to see if there's anything.
It's the town.
Yes,
Yes.
I've done that a couple of times. in
Well,
places.
the one
I
thing
heard
that has been,
one of them was
you know.
torn down.
Oh, really?
and they can send them a letter and say that
Oh, wow.
you
Okay, that's
can't
big.
do this, you can't do that. You know, there's different things and they'll go there and do that. But you have to call
And say
whatever
something.
zoning or whatever it is and have them check it out.
But one
That's
thing,
the first step, actually.
one thing we did come away with, the Dell House property really should be, if nothing else in Ferry Village, that should get some kind of landmark status. Because their little Rose Cottage was in jeopardy, we were told, yeah. And other buildings.
Was she agreeable to that?
I don't think she was against it.
No,
I
she
think
didn't
she was
sound like
willing
it.
to listen.
She wants, I mean, I got the impression that she wants to help us save the feel of the village.
She
but-
loves that property, and
Yeah.
I don't think she wants anything.
And I mean, I would be just devastated if that Rose Cottage were torn down because, I mean, that's ridiculous. But apparently somebody in town wants to do that. And that's my other concern. So that's why I'm glad Mike is back in the room because this is a question I wanted to
Joe
ask.
will not be joining. He was actually gonna sign off.
Oh, okay.
He's not doing it.
We're just talking about some of the homes over in Perry Village and the lack of upkeep in some of them that are in the tour. I mean, we have
Yeah.
to walk by those houses. So we need to know what would be the proper procedure. if we-
Code enforcement would enforce that.
Okay,
And what would
I mean, if there's a,
He's been in court many times and apparently nothing. I could give the son.
yeah, don't say names,
I won't.
right?
well, I mean, I could name 2 or 3 places, I think, over there that if it were up to me, I would be looking at. And you know, we're running these historic tours and we're walking people past these places that.
Run down.
It's the character of the neighborhood.
Well, I
So-
get that. I mean, there are places all over the island where you can find that, I know, and
And
I,
in the listing.
anywhere. Oh, yeah, I mean, you know, no place is perfect, but when you get to the point where it's out on the street and everybody has to look at it, then you kind of wonder. Then it,
There's a few of those eyesores on the island. There's another one over on Wallace that's really bad.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
there's one on Whitehaven that's,
Yeah.
Gee,
Not a lot, but the few that are out there are pretty chronically bad.
yeah, exactly.
Is there any zoning laws?
There's some laws, but even like lawn mowing, I mean, you cite them, if you cite them today, it'll be early fall before they, 30 days, so. Even then, we don't have a lawn mow or a grass mowing ordinance, basically. So we won't just go in and mow it either, and they'll just, 9 times out of 10, they never even respond, they just don't care.
So if you went in and did it, you would charge the property.
We need, it's one of the things on my to-do list. I think we need an ordinance that would permit us to do that. Right now, there isn't any code or ordinance that permits us to do that. Where we would go in and mow it and charge it back to the owner.
Well, it gets to be a health issue if it gets too bad. I mean, I
Right.
think that's part of it. Plus, some of this stuff that
I'll write it such that we can also mow across the road over along the parkway too.
I don't know. if it's
Well,
worth
they
it, say,
do
but,
an actual-
It'd be funny though.
I've been trying to make it all natural.
So you're right, your son is a very nice young man.
Some sections. It's probably not a little more.
Yeah.
But that's different.
That's another whole topic.
So that will-
Okay, well, the other picture, I mean, I think that's one of the things we need to think about then and what we would be doing. So, anyway, so this is gonna be a long project. And so I'm wondering, frankly, I'm concerned that we have so few members on this board that we have a lot of work ahead of us. And I'm wondering if the town board would consider adding other members to the board, because poor fellow sends me a note, I think I need a committee. I go, no kidding, I think we all need a committee for these things, we just don't have enough people to do all the work, and then everybody's involved in the historical society besides. So you end up spending 30 hours a month doing things for the board, and we just need some more people. So I don't know how we go about doing that either, to apply to the board to see if we could expand the size of the preservation board, and then do some more advertising to try to
Right.
find some people who would serve.
Or even help during certain times, just be the-
We can always recruit people in the wings too. I mean, just because you're not a board member doesn't mean,
Yeah, that's it. We could have historical society members helping.
Yeah.
In fact, we've usually been involved with Kelly's. So,
Yeah.
Keep calling it.
But that's just one project. I mean, that would, we're
Well,
talking
that's
fall
it, right,
festival
well.
here, but now we're talking, then when you start talking Ferry Village and you're talking about talking to the zoning office and they're talking about, the rest of the stuff and coming up with maps, and that's gonna be a big project. And we've got a couple of other things in the works. So I'm just putting it out there that I'm getting a little concerned about the amount of time it's
we're
going
gonna
to
have
take.
to take manageable bites.
mhm.
Or,
Except that we
yes,
can only do
make
so much.
priorities.
Because otherwise, you won't have anybody.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we need priorities. I mean, there's a lot of things going on, but what do we want to concentrate on for the next couple months?
Yeah.
Well, that's why I put Ferry Village first on here, because I think that's the major thing we should be looking at, but that's not to say we can't be doing other things too.
But
so.
that's really the only historic area. That's where we should put all our.
Well, it's our oldest historic area, and we have other areas.
Where's
that-
another one?
Well, you're only
Well,
thinking 100 years, but the whole idea of like all those Sears homes over near Love Road, that's another area that would be
I know,
concerning.
it is, but what are you gonna do? Take a tour and say, hey, this house looks just like this house. This looks just like this house. And they all were built in 1947, except those were built in 1952. It's
They could
Pretty
Well, I'm not
humdrum
suggesting
board,
the
right?
changes, I'm just saying, though, that we
Right.
need that.
We've got a lot destroyed.
walk
on
or a
Grand
drive
Yeah.
Yeah, the good stuff's gone, except for
The good
Or-
stuff is
the
gone.
churches.
We got
Gone.
Thank you
cemetery.
to Beaver Island.
I don't know how interesting the cemeteries are. They must be somewhat interesting of the people that are in there.
Well, anyway, I thought the meeting went well with Regina, and so it encourages me to think that we need to get busy and do some other things. So Sharon, I think you and I need to get together and sit down and start drawing up some guidelines, if that would be okay.
Did you
with
actually meet with the anchor person as well? Yes.
Couple months ago.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
before,
Good.
yes.
Yeah.
So I haven't talked to him again since Sharon hasn't either, but she was going to put some things together for him because our impression, and I don't know where we got this, but we both thought that she had met him and that there'd been some conversation and that they didn't see eye to eye, but I didn't get that. And she said she hadn't met him. So I feel like we could play the role of kind of mediator here and
Yeah.
try to get something done and not let it run too long without actually taking some steps to get things taken care of, so. Okay, anyway, well, Sharon, before we leave, then I wrote my calendar, so maybe we can find a time when we can sit down and get started on this, at least outline what we can do.
Mhm.
And then what questions we have, Mike, we'll just send on to you and ask for your advice for what to do about getting into town rules and what the board could do or whatever, so. Okay,
I was trying to remember the number. So we have 9 people on our board, including the alternates. So it's unlikely we're gonna be able to get anything bigger than that. That's a standard size for the group.
And if we were at full force, we'd have 9 people.
We had a hard time getting an alternate.
Joe.
Yeah.
And Carolyn.
Yeah.
Missing.
And Nicole, yeah.
But we can get other volunteers. I mean,
That's right.
they don't necessarily need to be members of the board.
right.
Right.
Well, I have a couple of people in mind who have indicated they're interested in preservation, but I thought, I don't want to seek out too many more until I know what the situation would be or how we would utilize these people, so. But, okay. All right.
Here's Joe.
Next on my list then, I guess, is just to bring you up to date on the Nike base. I had a meeting with Jennifer Mentor. I was wondering about how this $850,000 grant came through. I was a little concerned because we've been done talking about that as another potential historic site on the island. And I thought, well, we're talking about it as a history site. Somebody else is getting $850,000 to updo the buildings. So apparently it was done through engineering department in the town, and that's how they got the money through Higgins' office. But there's still a question about whether those 2 buildings in the back could even be utilized or if they would have to be demolished, but then there would have to be permission given to do that because under the contract, as I read it, with all the material I've been gathering, that can't be done. The town can't just make that decision. When the property was ceded to the town, essentially, it was with that caveat that they cannot tear things down, they can't make changes. If
But
they
we are
do-
looking into it. So the tearing down of 2 of the rundown buildings.
Yeah, the ones way in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you have to get special permission from the feds in order to do that, because otherwise,
That's
quite
being-
honestly,
it's being
legally,
worked on.
the ground property could be taken back by the federal government if the town didn't live up to the agreement. So anyway, I talked to Jennifer about it. She didn't know a lot about the grant, quite honestly. So what I did do was say to her, what if we, as part of this, could talk to the people the senior citizens who are in there all the time and go there for their meals and whatever, and find people who actually would remember something about it. If nothing, just a beginning to gather some more information about what people remember about what went on at that Nike Center. So
That would be interesting. I'm
well,
gonna
that's what I
just
thought.
pause for a second. Joe, you on?
I'm on. Finally, I did it through my iPhone.
Great.
Okay.
But,
A lot of those people are gone. They would remember a lot.
well, maybe so, but when I was there the other day, quite honestly, there were some people there who looked old enough to remember. Trust me.
Do we have some historic pictures of the silos and?
Yeah,
I don't know.
The
the last-
military would
There's
have
not much.
It'll be.
That
Well,
would be
the
interesting.
military.
I
Yeah.
copied everything that Jody had in her files, so I got all that, it's scanned into my computer. There's other information online about, just generally speaking, about Nike bases. I talked to somebody in Higgins' office who said if I sent a request for more information, they would get somebody in DC to look it up and give me some more stuff. So I told Jennifer I would put together a PowerPoint with whatever I could get together and do a talk for them at some one of their
That'd
luncheon
be
things in
really great.
November. And then
They'd
have
love that.
with it a questionnaire or something that we could hand out, asking people what they remember about the
Or
Nike
parents.
days.
Yeah,
I mean, it wouldn't take long to do that,
You won't be sailing.
that's right, it won't be sailing in November. Mike and I got to say hello to one another at Point Avenue this week.
yeah.
What time span are we
As
looking at?
June
What
is
year?
rolling out there.
Yeah, 50s and 60s, although the silos were not taken, the missiles were not taken out of the silos till the early 90s. Yeah, I'm not sure I would have bought a house on Grand Island in 85 if I know it's 3 miles from a missile base.
Right in your backyard.
Yeah, really. What? When I read that, I couldn't believe it. Anyway, just so you know, that's what I suggested to her, and she thought that was a good idea. But I can't do anything earlier than that. I'm just either going to be out of town or involved in other things until then. But it's a slow process. I'm not suggesting we get involved and do 100 things at this point, but this would give us something to begin with so that if we decide we want to move on with it, we could. I do want to tell you, Jody, though, that when I talked to Pete Marsden, because he's the one who told me where the grant came from, because apparently Jennifer called town hall because she was nervous about, she didn't know me, and she was afraid I was going to come in and grill her about this grant, I guess. And so she was feeling scared and uncomfortable. So she called Pete. So then Pete called me and said, "This girl's afraid you're going to bite her head off." I said, "Well, I look like a grasshopper or what, whatever." But so he was telling me then about where the money came from and how this worked out. So I said to him, if we can get this taken care of and get this identified as an historic site, and then they were talking about, the senior center would be done. But if he said, if this development goes through, isn't there talk about a new community center there?
It's still
So,
years away.
I know, I understand that, but I said to him, well, then I want to be thinking far enough in advance so that if that building becomes available, then we get Jody out of the maintenance building and get her a decent historian's office. So I'm thinking about you, girl. I want people to be thinking about these things, not just, I'm a 20-year planner when I do these things. And I think we all need to be that way. It's not just preservation, it's looking at the future and how is it going to help us preservation wise. So I won't be here, but the rest of you can take care of it. Okay, so that's the Nike base update. I think I told you this August PBM thing, most of you, I said, we did it. Mary and I went, we talked to some people. There wasn't a big turnout. I mean, there were people there. It was steady, but it was just not as many people as we thought there would be. Nor were there as many organizations there as we anticipated. So I made a big poster thing and I just put a big sign on it saying, here's things about Grand Island history I bet you didn't know. And then just little blurbs about things. And that did attract some attention. And then Kurt gave us some of his things that we could display on the table. So it worked out okay. And we got to talk to a few people from different historical societies and preservation boards, which I found out are all over New York State are referred to as commissions. And I don't know what the difference is in the terminology there, but that's another thing I wanted to look at, because apparently in all the towns around us, it's referred to as the Preservation Commission for the town. Now, whether they have any more to do with things than we do or not, but I just thought in terms of the field, it'd be interesting to know. So anyway, we did that. We talked to a guy who's involved in the Pendleton Historical Society, Preservation Board, whatever he was on, I don't recall. And so I said, well, I had been to Pendleton Clark's grave, but I couldn't remember where it was. And my sister had taken me there because she lives in Pendleton. And this guy said to me, it's right next to Uncle G's. And I said, well, I don't think I can find that on my life. And he said, if you could, if you went out the driveway, turn left, and it was right there. All I had to do was go across the bridge on Tonawanda Creek Road, and it was right there. So Mary and I went over and we wandered around and we went to the cemetery and we took some more pictures of Pendleton Clark's grave. And this guy that we had talked to said, you know, he thought he could help us out in this Pomeroy thing. You remember we were going to do the sign and there was this big controversy about whether it was Clark or Clark with an E. So he said, you know, he thinks we could get this together and get this done. So Mary and I would like to proceed with that and try to get that Pomeroy sign done.
And then we go at Broadway and,
Well,
or Love and East River.
yeah, well, we were talking about that too, though, when we were wondering, you know, there really wasn't we don't know that there was a cabin located right there. So to make it more accessible, since there were cabins all along the East River, maybe if we can get this, we could have it put in that Fisherman's Park where there'd be parking and people could read about it down there and make more sense.
That's close by, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So anyway, that's one of the things that I think Mary and I will continue to work on, and we'll see if we can. But I've still got all the original paperwork that we did on it, but then they turned us down because of the spelling thing. And then when Jerry and I were working on the book, the Historical Society of Buffalo actually gave us the primary source that we needed to show that there was a difference in the spelling. But by then,
Oh.
Pomeroy wasn't taking applications anymore because they said they were kind of overwhelmed with them. But we figured we may as well get it done and get on the list. Who knows how long it'll take, but you know, may as well start. So anyway, that's the news on that. The Alt Farm visit, most of us went on that. It's amazing what they've done over there. It's just, I'm just blown away by all of that. And they're going to be available on the 23rd for the fall weekend. I did talk to Nicole that night and because of the game, the Bills game the next day, the Buffalo Launch Club still hasn't made a commitment to open on Saturday, and they definitely would not do it on Sunday because they have their place open with the TV on and whatever. So they would, even if they do anything, it would only be the one day. So we were talking about this and wondering if maybe that's what we should just advertise. It's a one-day history day on Grand Island and not worry about Sunday. Then we would only have to get volunteers for one
That
day.
makes sense.
Yeah,
that
you know,
does make
'cause
sense.
I don't think we get
For the first year.
volunteers. I don't think we'll get as many people. I mean, I don't want to be doing this, you know, I want to watch the
Yeah.
game and then I've got something
Yeah.
else later in the day that I want to go to, so.
Right. I think that sounds good.
Yes. it's a
I
great
I think
idea.
everybody else.
So
So that would
one
help
day.
you out too, Phyllis, because then it would just be one day that you'd have to find out.
23rd.
And then Kelly's would just, if they're still gonna do it on the 24th, they're
Yeah, they
gonna
could
be
do
on their
both.
own, you know.
Yeah, sure.
We could indicate in our publicity that they would still be
Mhm.
doing it on the 24th, but we wouldn't have to be there for the schoolhouse.
Okay.
So that's what
So just
September 23rd,
Kelly's, right?
yeah, Saturday.
What,
And then-
What's the
well,
deal
all-
with the schoolhouse?
We go in and we just.
Yeah, I know, but last year, you and Joe spent hours cleaning
Yes, I know, when we need, I thought I would stop in and talk to Kevin about this because calling him on the phone, quite honestly, doesn't resolve the issue. I need to go and talk to him personally, I think, so. We'll see about that, because yes, it's gotta be ready. I'm willing to print the little lessons and donate books, or at least temporarily to put in the cases and stuff. I don't mind doing that. I can pack up a box and do it, but I'm not gonna clean the schoolhouse and I'm not gonna stay there all day. I'm just not gonna do that.
it.
so we'll have to talk to the Historical Society about
One day,
One
it's gonna be
day.
one to
How
four,
long do
right?
we want?
it's a week,
Yes,
1 to
we said
4.
1 to 4.
One to
Yes.
four.
Okay, 2025 canal. I know that you talked to some people. Jody, right?
What's that?
The canal.
Oh, I have not, but I do have a phone number for a woman.
Jill Townsend that I'm going to call, I have it somewhere. That Kurt got for me after, where was Kurt that he found this person in the phone number? Anyhow, he gave
Somebody
it to
got
me-
in touch with Kurt, didn't
gave it to me at the
they? Yeah, he
meeting,
did.
at our meeting last week. So I have the number, I haven't called her yet, I've been
Okay,
So
crazy
what is
people.
this?
just to try to get us involved in the 2025 200th anniversary of the Erie Canal.
Got it.
I just wanted to know if you'd be able to follow up. I just wanted to tell you that, his last name will not come to me. Mike. His name is Mike. He was in charge of the tall ships when they came in 2 years ago, whatever. And he's involved now. They're not going to bring in the tall ships. What they are going to do is they are building a replica of the Seneca Chief, the boat that went down the canal for the wedding of the waters kind of thing. So they're building the replica and they're going to do that. So they would be coming down around this part of the island, the south end of the island. So if nothing else, I think we would want to find out how we could be involved in that. And I told him that we were interested in it from Grand Island. So I've got his name and stuff. I just.
It doesn't sound like anybody's got anything planned at this point when I talked to.
Well, yeah,
the
and
town
I thought,
people.
You know, that's.
So they were more like, once we start talking about it, we'll get in touch with you. So.
Well, I always believe in just taking the lead instead of waiting for other people to tell us what we can do.
Well, we're not on the canal. What are we gonna
Nobody's
say?
on a canal. It doesn't even
Well,
exist.
Tonawanda and North Tonawanda are.
They're on the State Barge Canal. They're not on the Erie Canal. The Erie Canal doesn't even exist.
It's the same thing. Do we
No, it's not. The Erie Canal was filled in Tonawanda. That's where those houses are.
You know, it's that part, but the whole rest of it is there.
Well, I get it, and they're gonna be on it, but if we don't jump on it, I think we're gonna be left out of it. And so, since
Okay.
I have the connection in Buffalo that they're gonna need, I want you to make use of that.
Sure. Absolutely.
And what is our
We
history?
can't
with
sit
the
there and
Erie
be the
Canal?
little town of Grand
What's our
Island.
history with the canal? Just the Whitehaven settlement, that's it.
Just bringing back and forth lumber.
Just
Yeah,
the settlement, yeah, the
Yeah.
Whitehaven settlement.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to take advantage of the fact that we were.
All of
involved
that
in
lumber
this.
went up the canal to other cities and areas. Okay.
I will definitely get in touch with them.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, and then Mordecai Noah, this is hilarious. I was going through my old notes and I discovered that I have this thing that the town, of course, you all know when this happened, but there was a proclamation that the town board passed that September 2nd of every year is Mordecai Noah Day on Grand Island. Now, I'm going to be in North Carolina, so I'm not recommending that we do anything. I just wanted to bring it to your attention and let you know that I don't know what we want to do about that, if anything, but as a follow-up, I just thought, okay, I will bring it to the board's attention.
Is it 2025?
That's every year.
Oh, I know that, but the 200 years is that 2025? Is that along the
Canal.
same?
Oh, no,
canal,
Oh, you
Mordecai.
mean from Mordecai. Honestly, I was going to look up that date and I forgot about it because.
Because I could see doing something for that.
Yeah.
200 years, but to do, or we could put something in the newspaper and just say, hey, this is,
Yeah. Well,
but
that's why I wanted to bring it up, because I thought, I'm not even gonna be here, so I'm not gonna. The first year I said, okay, and I threw a cocktail party at my house, but I didn't do it the next year. I haven't done it since. Don't plan to do it this year.
Whatever happened to that guy too?
Yeah, I was thinking about him.
I don't know.
It was
Never heard
before
another
his
word.
time.
He just
He was a
He
character,
disappeared.
wherever he
He
was.
just disappeared off the earth. Some weird guy from Toronto or something who was gung ho about us knowing all about Mordecai. So,
Oh, he thought he was a hero.
I bet I got a ream of paper about him that I collected from, because of that, and then,
He fit
We went
well
to
with
that
the
talk.
Former supervisor.
yes.
I know I shouldn't say that out loud.
I didn't say anything. I'm learning not to mention names. I'm on a boat, committee boat, where we're only allowed to say the sail numbers, not the boat names, so this has become the joke on the boat now. So I'm biting my tongue.
Uh-oh.
Okay, that's my report. That's all I have. Mike?
Yeah, I-
Just, let's see, so theoretically, the supplemental environmental impact will be voted on. That doesn't mean it's gonna be accepted. But it's gonna be voted on the 28th of August, so a week from this coming Monday, for the Long Road Warehouse. I don't know if anyone's been following that. So anyone that wants to come and express their opinion at the beginning of the meeting, that's the meeting to do it.
Why is Craig for GI saying this is a done deal? That it's already, you guys all have already okayed the whole
There is
process.
no done deal at this point.
Okay.
So,
When is the meeting coming again?
and
August 28th.
I have a hat that I'm gonna try and pull a rabbit out of, so we'll see what happens on the 28th.
Cool.
So,
Okay.
Is that anything else?
Is that
so there's
regular?
that, let's see. There is, I know people were concerned about the Ransom Road and Stony, so that's the 8 p.m. meeting.
Okay.
So the regular town board
Okay.
meeting on the 28th,
Mhm.
Long Road Warehouse. I mean, that's the biggest project we've had, probably just about in ever. So
And is it true they have no tenants?
they would, there is a big demand for those types of things.
Really?
So I mean, they build them and they're filled with, UPS or Amazon or many other, the big grocery malls are all going away. This is what's replacing them. And this one has 411 truck parking spots, 101
Four
truck
hundred and
bays,
11? I thought it was 350.
and 101 truck bays.
And
And
those
that's a
trucks all
pretty
have to go across
intensive-
the bridge.
That's my
Yeah,
biggest
that's-
concern is
that's
the
just
weight.
You can't get on the.
So now we've had about 3 accidents a week at least on the bridges.
So this is a backup yesterday.
Yeah, I
For
know,
no
I
reason.
tried to get off the island and I had
Yeah.
to wait, yesterday. And it's just getting worse all the time.
It is.
Oh, well.
So we'll see what happens on the 28th.
Mexico.
Okay.
And I think you're the one that said it. A new bridge is a 20-year deal from the time you
Signals,
start
like
talking
the
about it
one
until
DC in New
it's
York.
done.
Actually,
Oh,
they
They're not gonna build a new
letter-
bridge.
license
Oh,
For like a 200-year window.
letter.
I don't see them
Yeah.
building a new bridge for Grand Island on either
Hold
side.
on.
Unless, of course, there's something structurally
Oh,
wrong.
boy.
And if there is, then we're in real trouble. Well, they'd probably build another one before they took down the existing one.
Huh.
But that would be pretty rough.
I can't imagine that this
There's no discussion.
truck impact, the impact from these
They
trucks. is not gonna
started
be-
talking about replacing the Peace Bridge how many
Oh,
decades ago?
oh, man, that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we haven't even started the discussion yet, and that was 40 years ago, they
Yeah.
started talking about replacing the Peace Bridge, so. And most of that time, so talk about someone putting their podium at the base of it and saying, we're gonna replace this.
I just don't know how we can keep building, especially with 411 trucks going across.
Well, it's just parking
It's
spots.
just funky.
Well, they've got to go across at some point.
Well, no,
Triple it, quadruple it.
Yeah,
yeah, more like two or three, closer to 3 or 4-fold more than that. So,
I don't know.
Anything else, Mike?
let me think.
I have one thing to add that I forgot in mind that I wanted. For the board meeting on the 28th, I wanted to tell you, finally, we got a letter from the Erie County Legislature. I met with the representative from the office the other day. And we got the $7,000. It's official to do the historic survey. So that it has to go through the town though, because we are not a not-for-profit organization. So there's a contract. It's not anything major. And apparently there's another one that came through the same kind of thing. I think that's going to be taken up on Monday night, the 28th at the meeting. So,
Somebody has the information so we can put it on the agenda.
yeah, well, Rhonda's, I kept
Yeah,
the copies, but she
It's very
said,
straightforward.
yeah, she said, you know, if
Gave her the copy, she would just put
yeah.
it on the regular agenda.
Right.
and We put it on.
So anyway, it's just, the things that the town has, there's no matching funds necessary. This is just a straight grant. And so we have to be covered by the liability insurance for the town or whatever. A certificate of workers' compensation, but none of that counts for us because we're not being paid for what we do. And then a scope of the work, that's already been done because I wrote that before and they already have a copy of it. So basically, we're all set on that. And then we invoice Erie County for the amount of the grant and pay off the guy when we get done. So all this will go to Rhonda and be placed on the agenda for the 28th meeting. And then as soon as the board approves it, that's when we can start sending out the request for proposals sent from people. So I got the list from Christiana about that. But before we write that proposal too, I started looking around online and I found out that there is a book that tells you what you should look for in an historic survey. And Erie County didn't own a copy of it. So the librarian checked for me and Niagara County owns a copy. So they're letting me borrow the copy. I'm getting it Friday at 3 o'clock. So I'm going to look at that book and make sure that we include in our request for proposals the things that they recommend in the book about what we should be getting for our money when we do this project. So anyway, I'm excited because this has been going on forever. And this is something we need to awesome. Give us the basis for so many things that we've been talking about.
Is
So
it called a historic resource survey?
yes,
So there are a couple of examples. Like Buffalo did one apparently. Schenectady did one.
yeah. I think Amherst did one. I'm not sure. I think it was Amherst.
Probably wouldn't
There were a
recall
couple of
some
others, maybe
examples.
the town of Alden. There were a few places in Western New York that had done them. But I was surprised that Erie County didn't have a copy of this book. I just called the library and assumed she'd be able to get it for me and they didn't have it. So anyway,
Where did you get it from? I'm sorry.
I'm going to get it from Niagara County. But I'm using somebody else's library card. A friend of mine who lives in NT ordered it for me and then we're gonna go pick it up. She's just gonna hand it to me. I promised her I would take it back in time so she wouldn't have any problems with it. So anyway, that's the exciting news for this particular meeting.
Yeah.
I'm delighted about that. And okay, so then the follow-up on tour money, we've already taken care of that. Sharon has it and we'll turn it over and give it to the Historical Society treasurer. Welcome, Mary.
I'm sorry, I'm late. Oh, good to see everybody.
Okay, Jody, historians report or whatever.
Been at the office a couple times, not a lot, still working on putting stuff together. Was looking at the Offerman, met with John Wenner, which a couple of us were there. And still haven't heard back from him regarding whether it was done deal, whether they could spell it correctly, still have not heard that. But they said they're gonna start working on cleaning up the wall, getting the saplings and getting all the vines, make it better.
Who owns it?
State. Yeah. So, and they're on board for that, and also they're on board for having it done by September 23rd, so that we can include them in the tour,
Okay,
which
so,
we're gonna include it in the tour anyhow.
yeah.
We have a tour tomorrow that I've been putting some Offerman information together, just a little bit, couple pictures to add to our tour for Ferry Village. I think that's it.
Who's doing the tour tomorrow?
We are.
Okay, okay. I asked Carol and I didn't know who was doing it, and I just asked her if she would be available for the September one in case somebody else wasn't available, just to collect the money. I mean, that was, I
Oh,
thought
my
we needed.
daughter Ann will be there.
You know,
for sure.
Did I bring a receipt book and give it to you?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
So we've got 8 people for tomorrow,
That's
that's
what I
it?
have, yeah.
So then it's the 17th and then 23 and 24 in September.
No, that's changing.
Oh, no,
Just
24.
23, because Alt Farm isn't available.
Launch Club. we're not
Launch
sure.
Club, not on Sunday.
Football game.
Well, we don't, I was saying I didn't know Mary about the lunch club because we knew they could not,
Right, and they're,
they would not do anything on Sunday, we knew.
we
and so-
know, and I think they might need this year to look around a little bit more, so all those questions that they had that are just impossible to answer. Specific, they wanted specifics. Who's doing this? Who's advertising? How much? This, that. So it's like,
Which I
okay.
get it.
Totally get it. So come and look and see what this is about. And then you can decide whether you want to be part of it in the future. All right, so it's only
So-
gonna be. so
Well, we
then
were
I've gotta
just talking
change that.
about that because lack of volunteers, we're doing 2 whole days at Kelly's. And so if we stuck to the one day,
Which is Saturday, the 23rd.
Saturday,
Yes.
the 23rd,
Then we could have that schoolhouse opening, Old Farm would be open.
River
We
League.
have a tour of
Tour
Prairie
of Prairie
Village and
Village.
Riverly, and that's it.
I'm really glad that Historical Society newsletter is still sitting in the computer.
Yay!
Just ran out of time. I guess that was good.
Yeah.
Because that would have been really annoying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was,
So great. All right, so we'll just go through that and eliminate the.
You didn't have anything else, Phyllis, right? For that weekend that you were looking at,
This one?
for the
week.
fall
Fest or fall
for the fall history week, or month, or whatever. it was.
day.
Day, yes, this is now
I don't
Fall
know.
Saturday,
Maybe what we always do.
History Saturday.
No, I think this year. Yeah,
That's
if
it,
we're gonna have it around the Bill's time, maybe next year would be
yeah.
maybe a different time.
Well, I think, we need to move slowly on this. I mean, my suggestion to Phyllis was that we look at what we did the first year, which was just Kelly's. Second year, what we did was, I don't even remember, Kelly's and.
Might have just been Kelly's as far as, because we did that kind of 2 years. ago.
Yeah, we did. And
The
then
only
last
reason
year was
last year-
probably the third year we did Kelly's, and then we advertised that, we had in the Launch Club and River League. So there are the 3. And then this year with Alt Farm, that would be 4. And I was suggesting if we can get volunteers, it's fine, but we could add an activity every year to that, but, I don't want to go overboard on this either, because we just don't have enough people to depend on to do this.
And the thing is, we're always waiting on Kevin to pick the date.
And I think we need to stop doing
Which-
that and
which
start
is fine
figuring
whenever
out
you
which
want.
weekend we're going to do this, and then just
Right.
tell them.
If we want to get ahead of the game,
Right,
we could just say, hey, we're gonna use the building, and if you want to get involved, go ahead, but we need access to the building for those days, if we go that route, because just waiting on him is kind of tough, because you can't get moving forward.
right. Tell me about it.
And then I guess you have to decide too, how, and until you did it one time, you wouldn't know how much of the touring of the schoolhouse happens because people are there to do other things. Would they show up if you just advertised that it was open?
Yeah,
right.
How much, so
Right,
there's
right.
that balance. And then when we started looking at football, I mean, there's a home game on the 17th. It was an away game on the 24th. That's a Sunday. The next Sunday was a home game. The following Sunday was a home game. So you're just not getting, and then like 3 in a row at home. Football, so, I mean, do you wait till the football schedule comes out and then try to meander over to Kelly's and say, hey, I don't know,
Yeah.
it's hard to know. And then some people say, well, it's great to have an alternative to football. Other people are like, well, count me out, or and certainly some of our volunteers can't do it. So it's really a toss up. All right, I will get back to Launch Club and just say, here's what it is now. It's just gonna be Saturday. Come check it out, because this stuff has to go. in terms of like what.
And frankly, they need to decide, they either want to do it or they don't. We would ask them to have 2 volunteers there for whatever hours they want
They
to
want,
open in the afternoon, and we would advertise that. They don't have to do any advertising, because we'll just do one thing and advertise that.
As a-
Nicole is willing to help do that. I was emailing back and forth with her, and she said she could write something, she would help to, Mills has already done a bunch of little blurbs for each of the locations that we can use, and, you know, it wouldn't take long to get those up. We don't even need to post them until 2 weeks before or whatever.
Right.
So we've got a
Yeah.
little bit of time before we have to do that, but I think we just need to nail this down. They're either gonna be part of it or they aren't, and we just need to go ahead and get it over with. And, so, you know,
Let them see what it's about, and then they can answer their,
Right.
they'll have a better idea, because
Yeah.
I was unable, and we spoke about it.
yeah,
So we're still thinking that September 23rd was a launch club instead of having it at the historic, whatever the,
His Heritage Room.
well, no, like the same time as the vote.
Well, no, the boat, that was a unique thing about last year. The Antique and Classic Boat Show always happens the week after Labor Day, for whatever reason, and I don't even remember what it was last year. It got pushed off a week. So that's, the Antique and Classic Boat Show will not be happening during History Weekend. It was a fluke that it happened.
Right,
last.
but
So this year, if the lunch club was gonna be involved, they were gonna, the idea was open your heritage room, maybe your chef can come up with a special thing. But in dealing with Tom, that he had talked to the Heritage Committee, and that was a little too nebulous for them to commit to. You know, they wanted more specific details, and we don't really have them yet. Or at this stage of life, this is only the second year that we're involving other people, so I think the better thing to say to the lunch club is check out what's going on this year at History Weekend, and see if it's something you want to participate in 2024.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because I mean, you have to either, you have to feel comfortable enough to do it and to sell it to the people in your group who you need to get to show up to volunteer, and that was not the case. Plus, hearing both days, they automatically on Bill's days have their own thing going on for their
Mhm.
members, so he said that would absolutely not happen on Sunday. And then when I proposed the Saturday thing, he had a lot of questions that June and I spoke about, and I just didn't have answers. And I get it, I mean, you know,
yeah,
he's
I mean,
got a group of people he's dealing
we're
with.
not trying to shove it.
No,
down anybody's throat,
no,
you
it's
know,
just if
they-
it works, great,
they're-
but you do need notice.
Well, I think in this year, I mean, obviously, we're hoping people go to all these things, you know, but I think because it's new this year for most people, the Alt Farm is gonna be the big change, and the people who wanna go to that. I am concerned about getting some volunteers for that, because Nicole has been doing it without them in the past, but if we do get a large number of people there, I'm concerned that we have somebody kind of keeping an eye on things, at least in the schoolhouse, because they can't be everywhere at once, and there's a lot of things in there, and I wouldn't want anybody to kill for something while they're in the schoolhouse. So that's one thing I think we need to be concerned about, is getting some volunteers who will be willing to be in there, and not necessarily the same kind of thing that you would do with the Little Red Schoolhouse with lessons and that kind of stuff, but just sort of somebody there to answer some questions and keep an eye on
She's
things for the
involved in
most
so
part.
many different things that maybe her people, like the involvement that she had.
And they might, but we have to make sure of that before we go ahead with this, so that would be the thing I'd be concerned about. I mentioned it to her, because
What was her comment?
she's, you know, she said, yeah, that when they've done it before, she and Dave had just been there, you know, kind of keeping an eye on things, but they were smaller groups, and it wasn't people that they didn't know necessarily. So I'm just concerned that we'd be opening this up to the public, not just an invited group, which is what they've had there before. And so I said to her, I think we need to provide you with some additional help so that we can make sure nothing disappears out of the schoolhouse or whatever.
Well, we could ask for volunteers at our meeting
I
for the
think so.
Historical Society.
Now that we're only
I don't
down
know.
to
One day, so then you'd just have to cover the tour, Riverly,
And Kelly's.
and Kelly's.
And all.
So Riverly is pretty simple because guys have been doing it forever.
It just takes.
And it's
people
only
to do
one
that.
1 to 4, so it's 3 hours.
Is that how it's going to run 1 to 4 at all the locations? We don't know.
I'm trying to remember last year, it seems like at Kelly's, we
Oh, it
were
was
there
longer,
a
like
lot
10 to
longer
5.
than that. Yeah, we
It
went
was
until,
like 10.
I think it was from 10 in the
Yeah.
morning until like 4 or 5 in the afternoon that we
Yeah.
were there. So that would be a longer one.
You probably wouldn't have to stay, probably maybe.
Well, like last year, he just said lock up when you're ready to leave.
Yeah,
Did they have a lot of people on board?
so we could,
I don't remember.
It'll depend on the weather. you know,
Yeah,
all that.
it was kind of a steady. crowd.
Yeah, as I recall, doing Kelly's is, so who determines all? Nicole and Dave determine how long they want to be open, and then they let us know, and then we know how we, because it is gonna take a little doing. You know, River Lee's easy, except that's bodies there, that can't be.
right,
Yeah.
bodies were there.
You know what I mean?
can't be
You just
someplace else.
can't,
Yeah.
you gotta
Keep
pick
the
a
hours
place
the
to do it.
same.
I would like to keep the hours the same because I think it's easier
Right.
to advertise it that way.
Right.
So if we just,
Simpler.
if, I mean, if you're doing 1 to 3 at River Lee,
Four.
what
1
time,
to
1 to
4.
4? What time are you gonna do the tour then?
I'm not even sure, we're not getting a whole lot of interest over this tour. If we want to take him to the Offerman and show him what we're planning on doing, just do the waterfront.
Well, I don't think we've done much advertising, and I think this will help get more interest in the tour, and, you know, because of the mess up with the town system, I
now-
think that's really made a mess of it.
When we were with Reggie, I've got to leave in a half hour, but when we were with Reggie, Tim came over to the table and said that they might have music going.
Yeah,
So it might be a little different than we.
On the 23rd,
yes.
Yeah.
He
It was
I
offering
was
that
at
maybe
dinner
they would
the
have
other night.
music at the Village Inn in the evening on the 23rd, so that people wanted to be down there, that, you know, they could.
Well, at one point, he had said something at Sandy, something at Village Inn, something at the Dell House property.
Nope. That's a
that's-
lot.
But that would be, yeah, but that's not us.
That
That's
would be
their
like
doing.
3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock or something,
Like if
And
they're
if they-
having outdoor music.
outdoor music.
So then what, based on that, when do you want to give a tour?
So that's what, there's so much up in the air. I have no idea. We'll have to get back to Tim and see if he's even interested. He said he had one group that he thought would do it.
Oh, so he was looking for 2 more music, or else they were gonna move, this one group was gonna play.
Different groups.
Okay, so then that was gonna be 3, 5, and 7.
I don't know if those were the times. I
But
don't
do we have to
remember.
care about this at all?
Well, we do in terms of running a tour.
Well,
Could we?
It could be
we don't
last
have to
minute.
tie it in with
No,
music.
no, but I mean, if you're going, if you know that, well, maybe not, maybe you do the tour regardless. And
If
go
Riverly
there
is gonna be
before.
open till 4 o'clock and it opens at 1, if the tours could be done,
You could do a
Prior
tour
to
at
that,
12.
and if they wanted to get
Right,
music at
does it
4
matter?
o'clock at the Village Inn, we could suggest to people they could go to Riverly. Riverly will close at 4, people wanna go to the Village Inn and listen to music.
Yeah,
and
maybe
have a
that's, but I
cocktail.
mean, that might be the thing. to do.
You know, they
Do
would
that,
pull it all together down in the Ferry Village area.
Do the tour.
Yeah,
At noon. So people can hit the other places too.
right, and then,
That's
yeah,
true.
yeah, and for our personnel, because you're doing the tour in
I think
Fair Village, and you gotta get to.
And then you're done by,
Riverview.
you're
Yeah,
done
no,
by
like-
1, so
Yeah,
then you can go
Oh,
out somewhere
Are you
else.
still seeing Rich?
on a regular basis? No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Would that work? That way you put that in your notes, Phyllis, that we, if we could work on
We're
that,
gonna have to get a timeline.
yeah. But I think we need it soon because we gotta get the publicity done, and so we're gonna have to get these decisions made in the next few days, because this has gotta be
Well,
taken care of and then
6 or
distributed.
Right, but the newsletter's going out, so
Yeah,
maybe I don't give time, so just say,
yeah, I
watch for advertising or something.
think that's the best.
Mary, who's the newsletter going to?
The newsletter that I'm working on is the Historical Society members.
Oh.
So that ends up sometimes on Grand or around and about, but you don't want to say things in there that are completely false, which it would have been.
Right.
I did, you know, I was kind of focusing on having that done yesterday, but just didn't happen, so it's good.
We've got a busy life.
It worked out. It worked out fabulously, so I will continue to work on that, but I'm just gonna say something about watch for details. Wonderful. details on
You
that.
don't- You don't think you could set a time for the tour now if we were gonna
You just said
advertise?
noon.
Oh, I can say noon.
Is that enough time? Noon to 1?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
And where are people supposed to, register? No, register for the tour.
Sharon,
Same,
taking
I
the
could
phone
take the
calls.
names.
Yeah.
So where, apparently, the thing that got published didn't work.
That's
No.
right.
So where are they to do now? Are they to
I
call
had her in the
Sharon?
Cracker Barrel, it's Sharon and my phone number,
Okay. Which is 773-2421.
2421.
So that's what you would like them to do?
I think
Make the
so.
reservations.
That would give us a heads up on me. One person.
Okay, we need some people, but if people, I heard from a couple of people that, yeah, I wanted to do that, but I tried calling that number and I didn't get.
It was us, yes.
Right, so I mean, that maybe
Yeah.
wasn't 100 people, but you know, when that happens and then, oh yeah, I tried.
Somebody called the Golden Age Center, got a hold of me.
See, they know how to track you down, man.
I mean, she was on one line and she had the other person on the other line.
Sharon, oh, I bet she's here.
Honestly, I think there's interest out there because that was the other problem, because people were on Facebook, because I had put it up on a
That's
couple
right.
things, and they said,
We
I
can't do
tried to call and make a reservation and it didn't work
It
or
didn't
whatever,
work.
so I think once we get the problems solved and straightened out, and
I
they got
don't want
the right
that problem again.
No.
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
There's only 9 in that, so that's.
So then that'll be 12 o'clock for the tour, 1 to 4 for River Lee. Let's just settle on this, what we're gonna do. So with Kelly's, what do we want to tell him as far as how long we will be there with volunteers?
1 to 4.
1 to 4.
Everything's 1 to 4,
Okay,
right? Let's just keep it simple. Except the tour, which is in.
Yeah.
okay.
Sounds good.
That way it gives
So
us some more
Nicole, 1 to
time.
4.
Okay. All right. And
That's a
then
lot to do.
1 to 4 for all?
Well,
Yeah, for everything, Riverly
Okay,
and Manning, the schoolhouse.
yeah.
okay.
so you
Keep
would
it
list,
simple.
you would list all those things on your flyer,
And it's gonna
Right.
be open.
'Cause it does sound interesting.
Okay. We'll see what.
And then if it's good, next year, a couple more hours, but let's.
Yeah,
go
fill the
with-
3 hours we have.
Maybe it'll grow.
Well, that's what we're hoping, but we don't want to bite off more than we can chew this year either. And I think we're busy enough with so many other things that
We're getting
everybody's
close,
busy.
yeah.
Yeah,
We're getting close to this year.
yeah. That's the thing.
Yes.
So I'd rather keep it small and have it successful rather than try to do too much and.
And with 3 hours, that is not overbearing for one person, you know, like, so if you got 2 people to be at Kelly's for that, 2 people to be at the Alt to manage
Mhm.
that building, and then Riverly does what Riverly does, that's doable as
Mhm.
opposed to a big expansive, because you
Yeah.
really do need 2 people, you don't want anyone alone.
Right.
Right.
That's, okay, that's much more doable, I agree.
Okay. All right, good. Thank you. Denise,
I made these up and I will show them to you, you have to give them back because we have a tour tomorrow. For the tour, I'm sorry. I think you get one.
I think she gave me one. Yes, I am.
That, here is my idea, if we like it, that the people who sign up for the tour would get this package.
Oh, okay. Which she went through all the information and weeded out some of the stuff that
Yeah, I
wasn't necessary.
Exactly, good.
added some pictures for them to have.
And then they can refer back to it
Oh,
instead of
yeah, I
somebody.
agree. They'll have something.
Yeah, and that's a nice thing for a $10
Maybe
charge.
we should have those too.
Yeah, I brought these and that certainly could be an
Yeah.
additional item. Those are gonna be around.
Yeah.
I had these print, Fahim printed these for me, it was $16 for 10. I think the Historical Society would be willing to contribute to this.
But this is
If
the
we had to
historic
print more.
preservation.
I think this should be
This
preservation.
is
Just,
preservation,
you want it just preservation?
because that's
I
getting the money
That's where the
from,
money's coming from.
So take it out of the $240 this year, whatever it is that we're
Or
turning
have them
in.
copy here,
Or
I
take it
think
out
in
of
the
our
town.
phone.
and they could
Pardon?
do,
We could take it out. of our
they
phone.
could do two-sided.
We
too,
have
that
it.
could work. I mean, you know, there's
I
lots
did
of
put the
different-
Yeah, but I don't think we have it all because we're paying for half of those.
Yeah.
See, this is the other issue that,
I think we ought to spend it.
Joe, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but it's very, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I'm wondering,
It's,
asking about taking money out of our budget from the
Oh, yeah.
town.
And that was-
We already are using some of the money that we're, because we're paying half the cost of having 1,000 of these maps put together that we would use for the fourth grade tour. But I know you're not able to come to meetings and things, but if we let you know what this is, would you keep in touch with the office and keep a running balance for us of what we've spent out of our $1,000 so that we would know what we have left to work with the rest of the year?
Have we even spent a dime? I don't think so, right?
Nope.
Yeah, so there's 1,000 sitting there right
I
now.
think we should spend that, not our money,
The
because
other
that's gonna be
town-
lost.
town,
Right,
we can-
well, it's true. I mean, fine, I don't care which way we do it. But I know that we've got some coming out that we're gonna have to pay the publisher or whatever, the printer for these. And I just, whatever, every once in a while we say, well, we ought to take that out. We know we have the 2 memberships each year for New York State and the Erie, or whatever, Preservation.
There
Buffer
was,
Background.
there is some membership dues that did come out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it was
see,
like
and this is the
100
thing,
and
you know,
change.
we do this without keeping track of it, and I just
Well,
want to
we
be
never
sure.
spent, even when we did their displays, we never spent 1,000.
You definitely have over 800 left.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Mary, how much is the half gonna be?
107.50.
107, okay, so now we're down to about $700. Fine, let's just do it then. Pay for them at least for this year, go ahead, as far as I'm concerned, go ahead and do it and see how it
I
works.
just get the receipts and then I'll put the.
Yeah,
invoice
Okay.
through.
And then they
is that all
send
right
you a
with you,
check.
Denise?
It's fine.
You mind doing that and then turning in the bill?
I don't mind, no, I don't mind it at all.
You give it to Michael,
Mary, you said you-
right? He gives, you give it, she gives it to you and then he takes care of it.
Right.
Okay.
Or scan it and email it.
We'll just have enough done then for, you're gonna have to guess about September, I guess,
Can we
about
use
how
the
many.
town printer to-
You know in advance from Sharon about how many
You tell
people.
me.
Yeah,
Denise,
It doesn't take long.
we can
Yeah.
talk.
Mike said we can use the town printer copier.
I would encourage for something like that, double sided though, but just to try and keep
Yeah.
the cost
That's not
down.
in my wheelhouse. Double sided.
Mike, are you here?
Really?
It's only 2 bucks.
I mean, once you do it, I mean, I can't, I have to have a tutorial now, but what, I mean, I used to be able to know that.
And that might help.
It's not impossible, but yes, double-sided would be
Double
good.
sided.
Well,
That'll be 2
Where you
years
can.
from now.
Where you can.
Okay, Sharon, you're gonna be giving the tour, so, are you okay with this? If this gives the
That's
basic
wonderful.
information and then you can just,
I think it's a great idea.
you can embroider it as you go along, of course,
We'll do
but,
fine.
yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, the 3 of us are there tomorrow.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, we're going to do good.
I also have some old family names that Sharon and I got together. This is basically from like the 1860s. And then I also used the census from 1923.
Do you realize we have censuses already done? We have 1855, we have 18, we have like 6 or 7 censuses.
Up in the library.
Yeah,
And they've already been done, so I didn't exactly understand what this project is.
Well, I wasn't looking for old island families as such. We were looking for people who might have been descendants of some of these, so that they would possibly have family records that they would still be able to share with us. It didn't have anything to do with the old families
Well, really,
themselves.
a lot of the families already have family trees done.
Well, yeah,
So, but they're not, I mean, would they be willing to share that?
yeah.
We have those family sheets
Yeah,
up in
how
Riverview
much-
that were done by the Historical Society in whatever years.
It's a matter of how much is accessible to us. I think that's
Right.
what we're looking at,
What
is what do they have and what would they share?
But what
as
you
far
want
as, yeah, what do we want?
I don't understand what we're.
Well, I think we're looking for family lore, pictures, who owned what, when and where, and what do they remember people telling them about? What did they hear from their grandparents? What did they hear from their parents? I mean, I know these people didn't live, they're not anybody who's here that lived in the 1800s, but if you've got this list of names, how many of these families still have somebody living on this island?
Exactly, and that's where we got, like, my family came here in 1854. Right now, there's me and my son living on Grand Island, and we don't
That
even
would
carry
be-
the name anymore.
That would be staff,
Yeah,
1854.
yeah, I mean, that she's,
And I'm down to the zero with my
yeah, I
family.
mean, there's not,
And your sister,
Mhm.
Well, I get that. I mean, I get that,
So
but that's why I ask you to do this, because your families may only have a couple of people, but we don't know, but it's like the one I sent you, but we don't know. I
You know,
found
the
a,
easiest way to do what sounds like you're trying to do is put out an, put something on Isle de Grande and say, hey, if you have some really cool historic pictures,
We
Can
did
you let us
that,
know?
We've been doing that
we
for
did that
20
at the
years.
library,
Yeah.
and nobody,
If you got anything good,
I think
bring it
Betty
in.
Killian was the only one that showed up.
oh yeah.
Well, people have to, you gotta hit them at the right time, it's, oh yeah, I got stuff. The first year we did the thing at the launch club.
scanning.
Yeah, no, the launch club,
Oh.
there was I won't say the name, but there's a guy he was gonna get that shoebox out. And every time I see him, I'm like, hey, oh yeah, I'll get there, they're just not ready yet, whatever, and then, we wanna
Yeah,
plant
they got
seeds though.
it.
Well, no, we wanna plant the seed then, if you're throwing stuff out, throw it our way first.
Right, and we've said that lots of times.
Yeah.
We can
For
make
what?
that announcement.
Yeah.
what's the date? Like when, like Link, when did they come?
Well, you can
Oh, the
go,
lakes.
right now, you can go up in Riverly, and some of these family names are covered in the genealogical sheets, family sheets that people did. The society did this in 92, 90, I don't know, whatever year, it's written on the thing. So some of that stuff can be, that you can find that stuff out. If you have that's how I got a bunch of fix information. Was I sat down with those sheets, forced myself into drawing a picture because we couldn't figure out who Patty Fix was, because everybody was Patty Fix. So I mean, when you have a project to do, I don't know if someone wants to just get going. Well, you could, but I mean, I had to limit myself to Fix because I had a presentation to prepare, and that's what happened.
Another
I mean,
committee.
well, it's just,
Exactly.
it's like Denise delved into the St. Stephen's thing, so she was able to put together pictures. If you have a final result that you're working toward, you get it done. There's just not enough hours in the day.
No.
I mean, just no,
Yeah.
they're up there. When you need one, go look. And you hope that you can guide people to them. So, hopefully.
But the census are interesting because it's everybody in the household. A
Right.
lot of people had
yes,
handyman, what was the other one?
servants, they had
Servants.
servants.
Yeah,
Oh.
you got
Yeah.
listed in the.
Oh, yeah,
in the
listed in the
census,
census.
depending on what you're doing. So I mean, when you get, and that's cool for people to, if people come visit, I
Sure.
try to get them up there, see if their family name is in there, and then try to talk to them about, do you have cool stuff? Do you have any pictures of these people? It'd be fun to have, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, we can make like a little of each one,
But I mean, yeah, eventually, and some of the families have files, have vertical files,
Mhm, There are some
stuff.
stuff, yeah.
But I mean, it's,
That's interesting.
I think the original idea was to try to get some interviews done, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was trying to find out if there was anybody that was,
Still
descendant
around.
of these that would have some information so that we could not
Hard to
just
say.
hope that they would come to us, but actually be able to approach them and set up a meeting and say, could we come and meet with you? We'd like to, whatever, scan your materials.
Right, 'cause that
Know
would-
if you
that
have
helps
other
us.
people on the
Yeah, actually
island.
get it out.
Yeah, yeah,
You'd almost have to invite that person, not just have it as a article in newspaper.
exactly,
Yeah, I think
exactly. Yeah,
that's what you were thinking.
Yeah.
Identify if there are people.
I just want us to be more proactive about
That's
this
what you
instead of waiting for
decide.
people to come to us.
Well, he's got kids.
But the other idea, Denise, that I think when we first talked about this, I was saying, I certainly don't expect all these people, when you have somebody here. But if there are even a few of these families that there's somebody on the island who lives here still that might have some of these records that we would look for, could we get a small group of them that might even meet once or twice a year? I mean, not on a regular basis, but just once or twice a year, have some sort of a gathering where we would ask a representative from both families to come and bring whatever they wanted to, pictures, come with stories that we would record. They don't have to write anything. We could do recordings of it. I don't have anything
It's all good ideas, and we've done a lot of recordings at River Lake, and then we never do anything with them.
well, but that's, that's gonna be, then we have to do transcriptions, I think, and,
Yeah, that just sits there.
And it would take quite a bit of work to determine if there's still
yeah.
people left here.
Did you ever find anything about that nice?
No, I couldn't open it.
Oh,
And you said it was on Grand Island? I went through all the obituaries and everything, and Buffalo News.
no, it was listed, I sent you the little blurb where you had to go in and get it.
Yeah, and it wouldn't open.
Oh,
I have a hard copy of that. I have 2 carols and a nice that are intriguing. Because there's Carol, that building in the.
and this
cemetery
one
is Carol.
specifically said Grand Island.
Yes, that James, I think.
Yeah, I think
The
it
Carol
was,
Carol, yeah. No, I have a.
And
hard
it just seems
copy
like
of it.
such an unusual name that it just found
Yeah,
it
there might be
difficult to think
something.
there wouldn't be some connection there, so. Huh. Well, anyway, I don't see Staley on here. The Staley Cemetery and
Oh, I
everything.
must have missed it because I did steal them.
Oh, okay.
You're healing twice, so maybe that's the scale. Yeah.
So where did you get these names from?
Census and
Going through the census. and looking. And those census books are up on, is that up at
Short River, yes,
in the newly reopened?
which is lovely.
We're getting there.
Jacobite, I don't think there's any Jacobite left.
Oh, no.
Mhm.
Yeah, when I worked on our 50th anniversary of Kegabine, when our kids were in Kegabine, so we're good to go. And someone came in from out of town.
Yeah.
But we got someone to. Yeah.
In Copeland, I think there was only that one family in there.
They didn't go,
That was Jane and she died.
50s.
Yeah.
they didn't buy it till the 50s, actually 60s, Coconuts.
Really?
Because I was just looking.
We had
at
a
that.
house on the house tour for Trinity. Yeah.
They were there 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
Is that Copeland K-L-O?
K-O-L-K.
Or just K-O-L? Okay, so get rid of that.
No, this is not from the 60s and 70s. This
This
came
is
out of,
another one?
yes,
Older.
and it's KLOL.
Oh, so that is, so this is important, from the 1860s.
Yes, I mean, it'd be nice to know where their house.
1860s and then
It's very
1923.
hard to figure out where they live because they're just say baseline.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Well,
Because there were no addresses and everybody kind of
That's true.
named.
so then I shouldn't be.
it's
tracking
good at least to know
this.
space, I mean, kind of,
Yeah.
and then where the farms were and, kind of. figure
And when
it
you
out.
look at the old maps, it's most of those names you've never heard of
Yeah.
before.
That's true.
yeah.
Do you have, if we went to the Historical Society and spent some time there, if there are recordings and things, would it be easy enough to get them out? I'm not saying we're gonna sit there and listen to them all afternoon, but to know which people were actually interviewed and which
Yes.
families would be
Yes.
They're
represented?
labeled.
Yes, they're labeled. Well, the agriculture ones and the interviews that, in the time I was involved in.
Yeah,
Jeff
Jeff
would be
her
only
husband recorded.
Yeah, because,
We had.
That would give us a
Don,
start.
Jonathan. Yeah, we can, that could, a list of recordings that we have.
Yeah,
I don't-
okay.
Maybe if we knew
well,
where they.
I brought my calendar, Mary, so maybe we could get something
Can you
set up with, not only with engineering, but with a date to meet at the history.
Yeah, we can focus on Tuesdays, 10 to 12 is when the library team is there. And that would certainly be something that they would help dig out. I know
Yeah.
those people, but, you know.
Is there enough room?
Well, there will be. short, I mean, the table is cleaned off
Yeah.
now, and our goal is to get under the table
Good.
cleaned out so that you could actually sit at the table, because right now you have to sit beside it, because it's all packed in there. So
What are you doing with the maps?
we're gonna try to get a map thing like town hall has, vertical hangers, and get them hung. We need to make it accessible, like, we wanna, our goal is to be able, if you wanna, what did Grand Island look like in 1820? Oh, boom, here's a map. And take it from a spot and lay it on a table that's clear, so one could look at it, and then when you're done,
Yeah.
back over there. And try to get stuff together like that, because we have amazing things. We found a whole page of Offerman, I think I'm gonna tell you, that, like a big page from the newspaper that was in with the maps. The last day we worked, we kind of, all right, what really is under here? And, just there's got all kinds of cool stuff, but if you don't know what you have, it's hard to get to it. So, yeah, but that's the idea, to use that area between the bathroom and the library and get something going to utilize that space.
They're in there now, but
Mhm.
they want to make it more accessible.
Right.
They're flat, now you're gonna.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna try to hang them or whatever's appropriate, and then also be able to use the table in the library, so you could pull up a chair and actually sit down and do things, because right now you can't. And if we get that stuff moved out, so that's what we're thinking of doing, well, we're gonna get back to work, but not after the potluck, that's a Thursday, the following week. So whatever, the second Tuesday of September, we're gonna be back in there from 10 to noon, so if Tuesday's work,
I'll be on the road coming home from North
but I mean,
Carolina.
but the next week, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those Tuesdays
Okay.
will then, we'll be operating on Tuesdays until December, when well, even we might still do it then, depending on what's going on.
And you can always call Kurt,
Yeah, and Kurt.
he goes in and out of there,
now.
so probably every week, right?
We're back September 12th, so, so then if it's not,
Oh,
done,
okay.
then the
Well, that
19th,
might
or then whatever Tuesdays, because that's kind of just a good day to focus on, because Patty's down there, the team.
So I have two things I was thinking. One is, of these names, how many were from, like, lived in Prairie Village, being that it was the oldest? Well, other than the squatters around the island.
The census would tell you.
And
that.
then-
Early Ferry Village was mostly immigrants that worked at the Bedell House.
Okay, so,
So I doubt that I don't know.
well, then, so the houses became there, somehow they were built.
I mean, after
Can
Allen,
we go back to the titles? Is that what the titles gives everybody?
Yeah, but good luck, but you've gotta get people to give you access to their titles, those just aren't hanging out in some place. You go find those in town hall, or you get them from people who got them when they bought their house. Title searches.
How many houses in Prairie Village?
like 51 now.
But see, at the 1860 census, we're not even, the Bedell House wasn't until 1877.
Right.
So in 1860, we don't have workers at the Bedell House yet, because the Bedell House is still 17 years away.
Right.
So, it's just all kind of, just puzzle pieces. But
The only one who was there was Louis F. Allen's
And his farm.
farm.
And we don't know how many buildings are.
what was
There's
the
like
year on
little
that map?
squares
To,
on
I don't
like
remember.
1877 map,
I don't remember, Mary.
which is part Louis F. Allen's farm, and it's also part Bedell House Hotel.
Right, because in 1877, they would have had that map out.
Also, Ferry Village was a summer place too. There was summer cottages. People didn't live there. year
Some
round.
stayed though, right? Maybe.
Some did, but it's very difficult to tell
It is.
what,
And what was there? I mean, they weren't, I don't know. It was
A lot of
just
cottages, I would say.
Mhm.
I think they were summer cottages.
Yes.
Even like the Everett House and those houses, they were built for summer cottages. It was the place to go.
anyhow.
to get out of the city.
Yes.
And they had little
We want that to
cottages
become the
there.
place to go again. I know, that's our goal here. Okay. All right, well, anyway, it looks like we could get started with those things, Denise. We can start working on looking at things at the historical society. decide where we could find some descendants at least and see who's got some pictures. I mean,
Here's
I
a
recognize
descendant,
some of
here's
these
a
names,
descendant.
so,
You got two here.
You got two.
yeah, well,
That's
that's
it, stop.
I
I
mean,
can tell you stories.
exactly, that's it. I mean, if you have stories to tell and things that you, but that's what makes tours interesting.
Yeah.
I'm doing one in a couple of weeks for some friends who gave me away at an auction. And I'm doing this tour of the Buffalo River.
Well, this
Because
is
I've done these
Yeah.
before, because I worked at the Miss
Sounds good,
Buffalo for a
thank you.
while there. But people, you know, they don't want to just hear dates.
No,
And,
no, they
and you
wanna
know,
hear
how
some
deep the
truth.
river
Yeah,
is and how
yeah.
fast the current is. They want to hear little stories about what happened. They want to hear the dirty little stories, is
Yeah,
what they really want to hear. And so if we can collect some stories, it'll make every tour we ever do that much more interesting. They don't want to just know the name of the house and live there, da, 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 da. They want something connected to that, that'll make it more interesting. And that's the kind of thing that I think we could get out of this project. Or, you know, somebody has their great grandfather buried over at the Whitehaven Cemetery. What do they remember about that? Do they have a picture of that person? Did their father tell them some story about that person? That's the kind of stuff that, you know, I
Where
think
you
we
live.
need to get this history thing going. You know, I have stories about the red light district in Buffalo and that kind of thing. And that's what people want. And I can tell you, that's what they want to hear. They want to laugh. They want to, you know, they're interested in the history, but they also want to be entertained. And I think that's what some of this could do. So that's it. Same thing with Great Cliff. I mean, they wanted to hear little stories about the Martin family and whatever, not just all the other stuff. Okay, any information on cemeteries, Denise?
The problem with the cemeteries is there's no tours. Nobody does tours.
No, I know.
You know, you can go in and look at the cemetery and anytime that you want to, but are there tours available? No.
Oh, no, I know that.
Okay.
But do we know who's in charge of each of these cemeteries? That's what I was after.
Well, we know too. And the church ones are the churches.
Yes,
Whitehaven is built Bob DeGlocker.
not anymore. There's somebody new that is taking that over.
Oh, okay, so
I'll
in
get
terms
that
of
name.
graves, okay. And Karen and Don Webb take care of Maple Grove. And
The caretaker of the Staley Cemetery a few years ago was Benton.
yes, I was just gonna say, I couldn't remember the name, but yeah, that I did. Or somebody, you found people, whatever, that was a bit of a job, but we finally identified someone for Staley, so that's 3 of them, and then the other 3 are Trinity, Assumption is the Diocese of Buffalo, and St. Stephen's is St. Stephen's.
And what are we looking to do? I don't know.
Well, if we knew who was in charge of each of these, we might be able to get some of the history of these cemeteries, who's buried there, what, when.
They don't know that stuff. When I talk to, all they do is care for the cemetery. They don't have the history. of
But
the
they must have a
cemetery.
record of which graves are used and which plots are still available if they are buried.
They have that.
Well, even that would be useful to us, I think, to be able to say who's there. That if we were going to give a tour of the Whitehaven Cemetery, I would want to know who's buried in there and what the family history is for that person. So that's the kind of information.
That's
that
what
we
you're
could
going
go.
with, yeah. Well, I happen to have a copy of the Whitehaven records of the cemetery. I don't even know what year I was able to get. So I have a hard copy. Photocopies. So it gives you, but that's where our Civil War, the only Civil War soldier we have a picture of is buried there. John Virgil Bedell, that picture that's in the dining room at Riverwood.
And where is he?
He is in
Whitehaven.
Whitehaven. Oh, yeah, he's buried in Whitehaven. And that's where John Nice is, the first supervisor.
Right, yeah.
And then you go from there. That's where all those carols are, which I'm determined to figure out, because that carol name is on that. It used to be a.
Well, there's some old ones
Something.
at Trinity
It's not
too, and I don't know,
stories
you know, I don't know who these
Amazing
people
stuff.
were, but there's some very old graves and
Yeah.
graves in Trinity. And Gary Resch takes care of things with the church, I know. He's in charge of the cemetery, so.
And Sandy Beyer does it Doesn't she do it for St. Stephen's or Karen Sweet? I mean, they must have a book somewhere,
They must have a book.
like that shows
To
what.
ask them about the history.
No, you'd
They
wanna,
might not
you
use
would
it.
wanna use the book and go from there. Because allegedly, the Whitehaven has the people in the Whitehaven settlement, because that's where they buried the dead during the 7 years they were there. And Hewling, the story goes, that was the end of the Hewling farm. The house-
Maple Grove.
For Maple Grove, yeah,
Mhm.
I'm sorry. I said no.
Yeah.
That's the house on
Yeah,
Staley that's
yeah.
getting repaired, and those baby graves are there. I took photos of them at one point, because there, 3 babies died, 3 young kids died within like 2 weeks, in whatever year that was, and they buried them at the end of the farm.
From what?
I forgot, and I need to go look it up, because I have to give that teacher. Yeah, one of the things that came ripping through, I think it was like a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old, within 2 weeks. And they buried them at the end of the farm, and that became Maple Grove.
And it
Those
could be
graves are still
cow
there.
or whatever, and we would be able to match the dates.
Exactly, and I mean, I had that Catherine Sheehan wrote about that, that book that she wrote. And so, yeah, that's the kind of, so, but yeah, nobody did this yet, so they would, but you would sit down and you would piece that together. When I read that in Catherine Sheehan's book, I'm like, well, holy cow, who would have imagined? And then you trot up to the cemetery and look around for a while, and I found the graves, and there they are, okay.
June, how are we doing on the agenda?
Almost.
Sorry,
yes.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, I think some of this stuff done. Any update on St. Stephen's, or
Not yet.
are people
They're not-
taking pictures of the renovations to see go along? I hope
That'd be nice.
I don't know that. I'll find out.
if you would find that out, I'd appreciate it, because I know I mean, we don't think about it for today, but it would be good to have a record of that, because 50 years from now, somebody will be interested in seeing it. Okay, Mary, we don't need to worry about the fall weekend, now we already know about.
And the brochures are here, I think Mike needs one, and other than that, everyone's gotten one, because we've
Okay.
all been, and I brought a couple packs of them if you want to put them. Are we
Okay.
allowed to put these
Yeah, right at the
out
front.
in front? Okay, then I'll do that on the way out.
Anything else on historical society besides?
Well, no, the updates for 2023, 24, they're gonna be out in the newsletter that you will get shortly.
Okay, okay.
Speakers are scheduled, the fall, the September traditional open house on the 3rd Sunday got moved to now it would be whatever, the 4th Saturday.
23rd. Okay,
Yeah, the 4th Saturday, so it's not gonna be on the 17th anymore, it's gonna move
yeah.
to September 23rd.
Uh-huh.
And they think it's 23rd, 24th, but now we'll.
Now we're going.
Yeah, then some.
And that should help with volunteers, I think, to
Yeah.
cut it back to the.
The only thing that'll bug them is that they're usually on Sunday, now it's on a Saturday,
Yeah.
whatever.
Okay.
If they want to be open Sunday too,
3 of us are part of it, yeah,
Yeah, they can.
yeah, whatever. So that, yep, we're done.
Okay. Well, since Sharon had to leave, but we had the update on that. I don't know about this coordinating for the Village Inn. I would think if we're doing things from 1 to 4, though, that they wouldn't want to have music from 1 to 4. So it would probably mean we'd ask if they wanted to do something from 4 o'clock on. We could put it in our publicity and indicate music and suggest that people might want to finish their day by going there for a cold drink or something, Or
Who's gonna check on that?
Well, that's what I was just going to ask Phyllis. I mean, can you do that, or would you talk to Sharon and then talk to,
Tim or whoever was gonna do that, because yeah, that can happen.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was Tim who talked to you.
because he came over to the table while we were having lunch and suggested that they would, he thought he could get some music in there if we wanted them to do that. So anyway, it'd be good. I mean, I think it would be a good idea. It'd be nice, and it would help to hopefully take some more business down to the Village Inn on that night, but we do have to coordinate it, so. Okay, this other stuff, well, I'll talk to Sharon, set up a meeting with her, and we'll do something about that coordination there. Carolyn said the library display is up, and the next one will be going up in September. And she will help take care of that, and the cash Sharon is taking care of, so we're done with that one. Anyway, okay, this will be. I'm sorry,
Did you say you wanted me to still talk to Sharon?
yes, if you would, talk to Sharon and Tim at
And
the
then
Village Inn
We
and
gotta
see.
let
tell Tim that, we're looking at 4 o'clock as the end of our programming, and so it would be best if he would pick up at 4 o'clock and plan what they were going to do there, and then let us know, and we would put it in the publicity.
Well, no, you're the publicity for fall weekend. I'm just working on this newsletter now.
And Nicole is going to help you on it, so you gather the information. Nicole said she would help take care of it, so. Okay, Nicole, we're all set. Joe, are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay, so after this discussion on the budget, maybe we could talk about this, how you could, or you can talk to Mike about how you could best keep track of what we've spent and report back to us each meeting so we would know. So we don't
We can get your report. for the
We
next
don't
meeting.
worry about spending money, but we also don't go overboard. I think that's what I'm asking, okay?
I'll give an update for you.
Okay, good. All right, Phyllis, is there anything else then that you want to bring to our attention? I just want to point out Phyllis has been doing a lot of work on this, so she sent me all of the paperwork and the information that she's dug out on each of these places, so we have a lot of material that she's gathered that will help with doing the publicity for the weekend, so. Anything else you want to add then? Phyllis? You have what?
The Oktoberfest for the VFW is having it the same day.
Oh.
I'm in charge
Oh dear, okay.
When's the October?
at the same day.
Wow.
4:30. Yeah.
Yeah, 4 to 9.
Okay, so we have options and we could refer them to either the dinner or if the village Inn wanted to have music, they could go there. So why don't we do that and just make that a 4 o'clock thing then?
Where am I advertising?
You're just putting together
Oh,
where it ends up going, but listing all the options and that. would
Who's
be
the ultimate? Who's gonna ultimately?
They're gonna go on Alan's grant,
Okay.
probably in the,
So-
I can email something to the historical society members.
So do you have that to show to Nicole when you get together with her? to put
Yes.
this thing together? Okay, just so I know this, everything is
So I should meet with them.
organized and we know what we're doing then, okay. All righty.
I didn't.
Okay, so, is there anything else anybody has to bring up? Because otherwise I have one more thing. I'm sorry, Mike, but I do have. I just found out, as I was walking in the door, Pete was coming out of the office and he asked me if, Jennifer, what's her name? Mentor, I'm sorry, my head, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, apparently they want to get rid of the ice house over on East River.
Oh, that's Jenny Benz.
No,
That's, they wanna get, oh, wow.
Yeah,
Can we move it?
so he said, don't do anything until we talk to June, so he wanted to know if she had called me and I said, no,
oh,
I
the
haven't
ice
talked
house,
to her.
the
And they,
smokehouse?
Yeah.
yes,
No, the ice house that
So-
we're talking about is at 828 East River, here, just south of Fix.
Okay.
It's
That's
on
Jenny.
that Jenny and
Dick
Dick
and Jenny.
Benz's
Okay.
property. Big barn. Did she say why? Is it rotten?
no, I mean, I didn't talk to
Oh,
her, so
she
I had no
talked to
idea
Pete.
she's supposed to call me.
Okay.
And after talking to Pete, he wanted her to call me,
Oh,
so I haven't heard from her, but
How
I,
big is this thing?
It's big.
It's
Well,
a
I
small
mean-
barn. It's
Small.
4
but
stories.
apparently she said to him, they don't care even if we wanted it, if we would move it, we could have it. So I don't know what condition it's in or anything else, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention. I'll look into it
I
and
was
find
in it.
out. And Jody, I'll probably be talking to you about this because we're after the set. I mean, when we start talking about this town
Talk to Nicole. She may
commons,
be interested.
Well,
this
she's
is the
already
other
got one.
thing.
Oh, does she have an ice house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's a.
yeah, Nicole
It's a
has
garage.
an ice house at her place because I took a look at that one. So I don't know. I mean, I just will talk to her and come back, I guess, and
Well, they can't do it until we get rid of 1,000 of these, because we have. it listed.
I
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah, use your map. It's number,
It's in
number
the-
10.
I'll look
Go
that
take a
up.
look at. Yeah, no, it's cool. I
We got it
mean,
memorized too, huh?
What did it cost?
morning.
I may have to go there for lunch or breakfast. Well, they don't even do that anymore, do they?
No, they do.
But I miss their hollandaise sauce.
You can go by there and see it though. That's why it's on here, because it was one that, A, we were sure it was a nice house, and B, it was seen from the road. And so it was easy, well, we used to park the Fort Creek bus there and talk about it. We don't do that anymore, but that's why it's here. Now, is it the only one on the island? No. There's one, isn't there one, Denise, up by your old Patrick Stack house? Isn't there a nice house on Staley when you come toward East River? One of those buildings back there.
I don't know
You
if
can
that
see it.
was
Yeah, okay, somebody told me that once, but anyway, so, but it might be a way, given what people are moving, it's certainly not the biggest thing. I mean, it's-
No, that's what
it's
I'm
not
thinking. I mean, and even if there's a nice house
lawnmower,
on the
but it's
property,
not a barn.
maybe, if we could get our, if it's worth moving, maybe Nicole and Dave would be interested in having another one on their property. It's just part of the, you know,
Right.
the idea of the whole farm thing.
Right, but just the idea that it's, that they want to get rid of it,
Yeah, so I will make sure.
when you talk to her.
I don't know when he talked to her, but she hadn't contacted me, so I will make sure that I just found this out 5 minutes before the meeting, so I haven't been able to follow up on anything, but I will.
Well, remember when years ago, that CCC building that Phillips had?
Yeah.
And they were looking into moving that over there and found that it was pricey. And she ended up finding somebody that came and took the whole thing down.
Yes, and they were gonna
And
reuse the
moved
lumber.
it. Yeah.
And didn't Robin Shipman didn't Bryce and Robin Shipman hire someone to bring that, what's now the studio or
I
whatever?
think they did that.
But did they take that down or did they move some of it in
They
the town?
took it. I
Took it down and reconstructed it.
One, B,
Two,
two.
you got it, and then
Yeah,
we put it,
yeah.
yeah, but well, that's certainly.
But if you get it out there, like if we let Historic Preservation Niagara know that, hey, there's an ice house on Grand Island that's available, if somebody just wants to come and get it, then maybe somebody will take it, so it doesn't get destroyed.
Right,
Well, they may just take it for the lumber.
Maybe, but at least they're not just burning it.
well, yeah, find out what
Yeah,
the
I will.
story is, because it maybe it's right, who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, I was in it when the Unions on it, so that was before Dick and Jenny was there. And the walls are thick, it was cool to see, because you got it, and that's when they still had 4 doors, and Dick and
Yeah.
Jenny put a man door in, and that eliminated the 2 doors, but you could
Oh.
still see the 2. You know, it was thick, you know, Nicole talked about the sawdust still coming out of hers. You know, straw. sawdust.
Yeah, Nicole was saying that about that. Okay, unless there's
Right.
anything else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?